to the BDGE Dynasty Fantasy Football channel. I am joined by Mr. Adam over here, just ripped out in BDGE gear. You love to see it.
Yeah, came in, just dripped in BDGE.
We're doing a full photo shoot on Friday for the new merch and T-shirts and stuff.
Really?
It's our first time ever doing like a merch photo shoot. Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit of a movie.
Right before I leave, that's terrible. Or right after I leave, that's terrible.
We verified what day you were leaving, and then we're like, we'll shoot the next day.
It seems very timed, well-timed.
Yeah, speaking of well-timed, the NFL draft is over, so we will be ripping out a well-timed full Dynasty Startup mock draft for you guys today, including rookies, of course, now that we know landing spots, now that we know draft capital. We're going to go through 12 rounds, our typical super flex, start 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, tight end, a couple flexes, whatever. You guys will be able to see the settings on the screen. Somewhere we have filled out the draft board. Myself, Adam, Andrew is in here at the 105. You're at the 102. I'm at the 112. So we've spread our cheeks out a little bit through
Spreading them.
Yeah, one position you're familiar with here. And we filled out the rest of the spots with people from the Discord. So, of course, as always, make sure you are joining the Discord. It's free to join. And if you want to get into a Dynasty League, they are also in there. We are organizing them for you guys. $100 buy-ins, great people, great drafts, just a great time. It's going to be a great video for y'all, all right? And I've done enough yapping, so we are going to start the mock draft. And Verzi, you're on the clock. 30 seconds per pick. Okay, that was quick. Patty.
Verzi. I'm not actually in the league with Verzi, but I've seen a lot of.
Verzi's been a long time BDG guy.
I've seen a ton of. I feel like if I get any type of questions with BDG on it, there's a 50-50 chance Verzi's involved in the trade in some capacity.
V.
Yeah,
it's always a big V. You know you're on the clock.
Oh,
without much time.
That was a quick one. Josh Allen should have been the 101, so I'll take him at the 102.
Okay, so you're going Allen over Mahomes and Dino?
Yeah, that's me. I got Allen at 1. I would have had Mahomes at 2, so it's not crazy. What in the actual world just happened?
CD feels like he's starting to become like, okay, so he's consensus, pretty much consensus 1 in redraft right now.
Now, I can get behind that. Sometimes I'm speechless.
Well, that's not the point of the podcast.
I don't know.
It's when you speak to him.
I don't know if we'll ever see this actually and not a mock draft, though. Is I guess what I'm trying to say.
Lamb at 3? Yeah, I mean, I don't see a setting. Is there
you got $100 on the line or more in a Dynasty League?
Maybe it speaks to the fact that people are more uncertain with what to do at the 3 spot.
I do think that there's
Mahomes, Allen are the 1-2.
There's definitely a tier break at quarterback, so I would agree with that. This is wild. Look at this. All right, man. This is going to end up being a great talking point. Right now we have 8 picks. Do people think it's 1 QB?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
They know the setting. Listen, this is a mock draft.
I'm just making sure because for the first 9 picks, there was only 4 quarterbacks, which is definitely interesting to me. Now Lamar comes off. What are you going to do here? I mean, this seems pretty easy, but I'm curious what you do.
I mean, Joe Burrow falling to me at the
112.
112. Yeah, I mean, this is probably the easiest pick in the history of startup drafts right now. Lamar goes before me, Caleb. I was hoping I can get both Burrow and Caleb on the turn there. Now we've got Burrow, and I got my choice of Amon-Ra. I've got Marvin Harrison. I mean, the choices are
If I was you, I'd be
plenty.
I know exactly what I'd be doing, but you hadn't mentioned his name, so I'm curious what you do here.
The double QB, A-Rich.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, that's 2 easy top 12 quarterbacks, I think.
I agree,
but you're gonna do something different.
I'm gonna go with Marvin Harrison.
Fair.
I'm going with Marv there. The more I think about him, the brighter the future feels for me in Arizona. Like right out of the gate, I think by this time next year, Marv is a top 5 overall startup pick.
Interesting. Well, what I was going to say is that if we actually were to see something closer to this, I'll just say the running backs going this high to me is the crazier part. Like sure. the wide receivers, if you want to start like locking in your guy even early, I could see it. And I think Marvin is the one guy that projects to, if he has a great rookie season, jump towards that tier there.
So we've got 2 teams going RB heavy.
Very.
Yeah, so this is not something you're going to see consensus. Like, this is not something that I think if you're following Dynasty and you're, like, on top of things, you'll see that type of start. There's a lot of times where Jahmyr Gibbs just went off the board. That's going to be the first running back all the way down at, like, the 2-6 or 2-7, whatever. But here's the thing. When Dynasty startups happen, like, people take different strategies.
For sure.
Maybe these guys are like, fuck it, we're going to go RB heavy.
If you go towards they're a little more in the middle, but once you get towards the caboose, I mean, if you lean into the quarterback thing again, typically you don't get a Burrow. So you're like, do I want to trail quarterback? I get that part. All right, so I'm on the clock here. Oh, Jaden Daniels went already. Kyler went. Do I take Jordan Love or do I just get my player here? Go ahead and do it, man. Let me go ahead and get Malik Neighbors.
Rookie fever is here, man.
Yeah, it is.
So we're at the 2-11, and we've got 5 rookies off the board already?
We have, yeah. So Malik, Daniels, Harrison.
4.
4. Okay.
So Drake May didn't go yet.
Yep. I'm kind of curious what Verzi does here at the turn. Well, what I was going to say is that if you let the quarterbacks outside of Love or T-Law, if you have those, they still all ended up going, even though the skill players went higher. Oh, man. You imagine getting Patrick Mahomes and then going A.J. Brown and having another pick? That's a good startup right there.
That feels good.
I don't know if I would have done Sammy, but.
All right. So it kind of like he makes a little vet, a little youth, a little.
I like it.
A little versatility.
This one is interesting now. I think at this point, question here is, I haven't been a big supporter. I wasn't a big believer in Jordan Love, but I think at this point I'm going to take him here. Early third, he feels the way he was playing the back half of the season was honestly, like, I was shocked how good he looked, how in command of the offense he had them. And if you look in fantasy, a lot of scoring formats, he was like number 5 last year.
Yeah, he was actually super good. Like, every time someone's like, oh, it's like Jordan Love had a breakout year, and it's like, yeah, but he wasn't better than him. It's like, he was, though.
But what's crazy is if you think about that, right? If you say, depending on the scoring format, let's just use whatever it is where he's at 5, which I believe is 6 point per passing touchdown with not a lot of bonuses. He started really bad as an actual NFL player. So, like, I could see an even better season for him this year.
Yeah. I mean, he started off statistically really good, and then he had a flat line.
Yes.
In the middle of the season. Like, it was like.
There was a game versus Detroit actually, not Detroit. That was the Thanksgiving game. Maybe it was Detroit. They had a game on primetime where he looked really bad, and you're right, he had like a stretch of horrible games.
In the beginning, it was like he kept throwing like 3 touchdown passes a game, but it was always on like really unsustainable levels of volume and stuff like that. So people were waiting for him to fall off. This guy, what are we doing here? 1776, John Smith.
I feel like
they don't know it's.
I feel like there's 3 teams. We could be wrong because I remember last time we did this, there was one team on the end at the turn that we were like, do they know it's Superflex? And then they ended up getting 2 quarterbacks late, which I like. But 3 teams with no quarterbacks through the first 3 rounds is interesting strategy to me. Rome went right in front of you. What do you think here?
Yeah, that's tough. Those 3 guys
had to be your pick, no?
Those 3 guys were in my queue for sure. And now I'm sitting here looking at. Oh, you know what? No, Dak is still here, so he's going to be an easy pick for me at the end of the 312. I feel like he's kind of like the forgotten. Oh, that's not who I meant to take, but okay. I meant to take Dak there. I took Drake May. I guess it's interchangeable depending on how youthful you want to go there.
You gonna swap it, or you gonna let it ride?
I'll let it ride. Not that big of a deal.
Drake May's, you're at the 4th round already. He's going, I think, in the 4th and startup, so it's not that crazy.
I'll go with Olave there. I'll grab 2 wide receivers, 2 quarterbacks. At the turn, I would have went with Dak. I feel like he's still going to get a contract from Dallas. I still like he's locked up for another 5 or so years. Just came off of one of his best statistical seasons. I don't really see that offense going any other direction besides pass heavy still.
No, gosh, no. And I mean, CeeDee Lamb, to the point of him going at 103.
Right.
CD was God the last, I don't know, what was it, 6 to 8 weeks of the season? He's putting legitimate 30, 40-point games up in regular PPR leagues.
Doing over 1,700. Like, 1,700 is where you get to, like, God tier.
Right. And, mind you, they had a very, rough start of the season. Dak was borderline unusable in fantasy those first, 6 weeks before they had the bye. He had 181 targets, too, CD. It'd be interesting. Brock Purdy went? Man, what's up with the Dak hate right now? Okay, so Pokemon understands it's Superflex, it looks like. What about 1776 here?
He's going to go with the running back, probably.
How awesome would that be?
What do you think? Okay, there goes Dak. That's – if Dak falls that far –
Can I say, though, this is where – I don't know how realistic this is, but if you end up securing Dak in the 4th round as your QB1 –
you can go a lot of ways if you get to work from the back
way
up. What do you think about Brock versus Dak? Let's have that discussion.
The interesting part is that there's – insecurity in both. The community right now, I feel like we overvalue in majority, I would say, age at quarterback too much. Dak's not really that old for a quarterback. He could play for a long time still.
Brock's really young.
Yes, he is. So then the difference is, right, people if Brock Purdy wasn't playing in Frisco and didn't end up being their starter, is he a starter somewhere else? I don't think people actually know that. I feel like Dak, to me anyway, I'm speaking for myself now, Dak could go somewhere else and still be a quarterback after 100%, Dallas.
Yeah.
That's where, to me, it's not. I would lean.
So you're
Dak
taking Dak over
for
Purdy
sure.
there. Yeah.
For sure.
I would do the same.
All right. Now I definitely feel like at this point there is.
You should probably take Rashee Rice.
Dude, that would be gas, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. Listen, he doubled down. I'll triple down. I really don't like this grouping here at all.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we're in trouble here.
Uh-oh.
All right. That's not the pick I really wanted to make, but
okay.
that was a cue ran out, and I just went kind of vanilla there. DJ Moore, I'm honestly a little worried about this year. Just value-wise. Now, if you get him at the 411, I don't think it's terrible, but
the thing that worries me about that Chicago group is it's not that it worries me. I think they'll all be fine. They'll have high floors, of course, but you could tell me that any 3 of them are going to be the leading receiver this year, and I believe you. Like that's where I think it gets tricky when it comes to fantasy, is like having this much conviction. Obviously, this is Dynasty, but having that much conviction on one player when you would agree that any of the three could be the guy this year is what probably should knock you down a little bit of a peg.
I can get behind that. I'll just say right now what's interesting is while there's a ton of running backs going off, more than I would expect.
Yeah.
It hasn't – I don't feel like it's done a ton in value to, like, receivers. I'm going to go ahead and lean into this here. I'm going to go ahead and – although I did take Malik early, I feel like right now I'm building out a core of a team that can really compete early.
Yeah, you and me are going the same direction where it's just quarterbacks, wide receivers, quarterbacks, wide receivers. I think that's kind of become like the norm or the popular thing to do in Dynasty right now.
It is.
Which is why I actually don't think the other strategies are that bad, because eventually the pendulum will swing back and we'll be like, oh, you want the top tier tight ends. And, like next year I could see all these tight ends breaking out. McBride, Laporta, Andrews coming back, like all them going for 1,200 yards. And then everyone's like, you want that early tight end kind of thing. So it ebbs and flows. I have no problem with most of the strategies except for fucking John Smith. That's
you know what's crazy? Let me just say, both Taylor and Saquon feel like really early.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how the team finishes because –
C-Mac at 1.9 is crazy.
That one I don't understand at all. But, we remember when we said that we wouldn't see that anymore when the early startups in the season, like January, we're looking like that.
Yeah.
Pokemon says, nah, we're back.
We're back, baby.
Jamar Chase, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, Pittman is a nice start. Kenneth Walker might have just sealed the good start for him. But
yeah, I really did like that prior to that pick.
I agree with you.
That's so strong. Like, listen, if you're going to be able to get a T-Law at the 3.7, your team's going to look fucking juicy.
No question. Mark Andrews, interesting.
Okay, we're up.
Running backs are coming off the board.
I'll let them fucking keep scooping them up.
What are you doing, Rashee Rice here? Xavier Worthy?
Enough.
Dude, double tap them Chiefs receivers? That would be sick right now.
I think I actually go, I just don't think, all right, I'll make my first pick, Brock, and then
I like that.
I think this is the price I'm super willing to pay. 5.12 and a tight end preem?
Nah.
Like, come on now.
I'm actually surprised to see this many tight ends off the board that weren't
Rashee, I obviously don't really want to. Tank Dell feels a little risky with the Diggs edition. Even though it's a year, it's just T. Higgins. Like, the stack with Burrow doesn't feel real.
Do you go Xavier?
I'll just go Tank.
Okay.
I didn't love that, but
I mean, I think the reality though is there's a decent tier of receivers that you could have went with.
Yeah.
So that was the problem with.
I actually thought about going Brian Thomas there.
I was gonna say if it wasn't, I was playing around with Xavier, but I think a rookie receiver, the wide receiver 4 in the class, has a discussion there. Which, by the way, was now Ladd.
Mm-hmm. Which is interesting. I also debated Pacheco. It feels like the more you go zero RB, just the later and later that you want to take them.
Well, to me, I think I'll just speak on a strategy standpoint that I can't guarantee works, but what I like to do here is when all these running backs are coming off the board and you've seen teams double and triple down early, you're playing into their hand if you start taking the later running backs before ADP now.
Yeah.
You're letting them get value. So, like, I'm kind of
I just really like Pacheco.
I have Pacheco
but
on
in
one
Dynasty,
of my contenders.
I don't like drafting any running backs because their lifeline is just so short that it feels like anything is a waste of a pick. You're on the clock?
I'm on the clock. Ooh.
So we had Brian Thomas at the 6.6, Bryce Young, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Stephon Diggs, Bo Nix.
All right, so
the Diggs pick is interesting. Goat name, Crumpler 18. Crump Goat.
Crump Goat.
Got a lot of young players. Jane Daniels. Everyone's a sophomore or rookie, and then you got Diggs thrown into the mix.
I don't love this.
Time's up.
I wanted Jaden Reed. All right, we got it.
Jaden Reed never feels like a good pick in the 6th round.
Nah, man. That 100% was going to be Rashee for me before the second instance.
Sure.
And at this point, like there wasn't any. Can I tell you the thing when I'm a pick against the turn? I'm thinking, especially there because someone has 2 picks. Like, is there a standout that I'm not going to get after 2 picks? And I just did not feel like that was the case at all. So
no, that's a good way to look at it, I think.
Okay, Brooks went. Interesting.
So that would make Brooks, I guess, going after Brian Thomas and Ladd, the 111, 112. I guess that's not crazy.
No, that's actually about where he goes. I'll be honest though, I'll be surprised if he does not take with Mahomes here Xavier Worthy. That was the pick I probably should have seen, and he did not.
Debo.
Okay, so now the question is, do I reach on what I believe is a guy that should be going here, make a stand? Or do I keep leaning into the value? I'm going to keep leaning into the value, Xavier Worthy. At this point, man, you give me those 5 receivers. Xavier Worthy's my wide receiver 5. I kind of like that.
This strategy by Crumpler, right? You see all first and second year players. Stroud, Daniels, Puka, Achane, Kincaid, but then he goes Diggs and Jacobs.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
So
I think there's something to it just because, like, that's the whole thing about Dynasty is, like, everyone values youth early, but youth doesn't always equal production. It usually equals long-term value.
Well, what I like about it, though, is if we talk about this a lot, where rookies, I think sometimes we can push up because we're so excited for them over a long period of time in the offseason. A lot of them don't actually matter or score as much points per game, but they finish strong. The sophomores and the guys in particular he's drafting here, CJ Stroud, we project to actually make that jump. Puka Nacua, we already saw him be a difference maker. Devon Achane, when healthy, was the biggest cheat code running back. It was just a very small sample size. Dalton Kincaid should be taking a step forward in this offense. So I think he did a good job of trying that blend. And I think in the 6th, 7th round, you kind of abandon, just youth at this point because the value starts going to the older guys big time.
Yeah, 100%. Once you get to 7th, 8th round, it's like you could just take guys who are going to give you 13, 14, 15 points a game.
Exactly.
I love Grotch's team.
Let's see what he's got.
Kowskia.
Wow. And honestly, like, this is about where Rashi should go, even with all the – I mean, 100%. He's not going to miss a whole season or anything crazy.
He's not going to miss a whole season. I also think, like, the way the depth chart is right now, there is very little chance that –
imagine getting autoed another running back from Andre.
Very little chance that Rashi isn't, like, the one by the end of the year, I think.
I mean, and that was how it was last year too, right? Mm-hmm. I would agree with that.
We'll have to see, though. Like, if he comes in, he's got to be in shape if he's getting suspended. Like, there could be some nuance with it, but I was hoping that he fell to me here. Also, remember the name 1776 John Smith. You're never allowed to mock draft with us again.
He took the auto off. He's probably like, dang, what happened? Sorry, pal.
Don't care.
Well, we'll let you finish this out so you can draft more running backs, but this is it.
I don't even have a running back yet.
Oh, Cooper Kupp, what a gift to you.
There's no real running backs I think I want to grab right now. I might do something a little crazy here.
What you mean that you didn't already with the whole team?
Chill.
Wait, what are you doing? Come on.
There's like no running backs I want. There are very few wide receivers I want at this age. Oh, fuck it. We've gone full youth.
Bang.
I'll go Keon here. And
that seems like such a value there, honestly.
You know what else I'm going to do?
I'm worried. I'm scared.
Can you read that?
I can. Let me just say I can't read it, but I know who it is.
Oh, yeah, you do.
And I gave my goddamn.
So I took Penix over Kirk Cousins. I'm getting unreasonably high on Penix now over the last week or so.
You son of a bitch.
So
you knew exactly what I wanted on the way back.
I've had 2 rookie drafts over the last 24 hours. One of them I had the 2-1.
Okay. I saw he went at 111.
He went to 111. I wanted to get up and trade for him bad, but
try to trade after. Actually, I'm going to try to trade with you right now. I'm going to do the same thing you tried to do there. What do I need to give you for Penix?
This is the thing about Penix, man.
You're not trading him, are you?
This is the thing about Penix.
You won't move him.
I get him in the 8th round, and then I look and I'm like, DK Metcalf might make sense, like something like that. I'm not accepting anything less than that, I don't think.
I know.
And you took him at the 5-2.
Yeah. I was actually going to take him at the 7-2. I was just like, all right, maybe I get him at the 8-11. And if I wouldn't have said anything, maybe I do, but probably not.
No, it's like Penix. So I missed him at the 2-1. I want him at the 111.
Sorry, I cut you off on that. What was the other thing?
No, it's all good. And then the next rookie draft, I had a team that I have Kirk Cousins on.
Damn, I was actually hoping Swift made it.
Yeah. So actually, let me talk through a few moves that I made.
Okay.
So it was a league I had CJ Stroud in, and my starting roster is really good. I have absolutely no depth. Like, I don't even know if I have a player that I could put in the lineup that would get me points. Really? But I have 3 starting quarterbacks. So I'm like, let me diversify that. So what I did was I moved Stroud for the 1-4, the 1-6, Chase Brown, and Jalen Hyatt.
I heard you talking about that trade. Okay.
I did?
On one of your videos. I think your last video you talked about it briefly.
Okay, so we made more moves after that.
Oh, let's go.
So I got the 1-4, 1-6, and I was on the clock at the 1-4.
Okay.
And I moved the 1-4 for Mark Andrews and Michael Pittman. And this is full PPR and tight end premium.
Interesting.
So I got starting tight end. I had Njoku, so now he moves to the bench, and it's 1.5 PPR. I have Lamar, so I got a stack there. And then Michael Pittman in full PPR, I feel like gives me a really, really solid wide receiver 2 in that mix.
Definitely.
So I moved the 104 for those guys who I think are going to get me a ton of production, like off the rip. At the 106, I ended up taking Rome.
Wow.
Michael Penix fell to the 2-1. I didn't have the 2-1. But I saw him there, so I traded a 2026 first.
To get Penix?
To move up to the 2-1 to get Penix.
What's interesting about that is, honestly, the crazy part about that is basically, to me, they're really the same thing. Like, it's just putting off value for another. It's going to happen later. Mm-hmm. One has a pick and one has a player name on it.
That's why. If, 2025 first, I probably still would have done it, but I would have been a little bit more weary. By the time 2026 first hits, it's like Penix is going to be worth that price.
Yes. Yeah, the only way that you lose that trade, I think, is if your team is
really
absolutely garbage. That's
yeah,
the only
so
scenario.
my team is really good now, yeah.
Right. So I like it. Let's see here. All right, what am I doing here? Do I take a running back yet? There is one that I'm interested in. I take the tight end though.
You got 6 receivers, huh?
Yeah, we're coming at you with bodies. Yeah, I can't do it yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this, man. Let me go ahead. If we're not gonna take running backs, let me get one that could just be the king again.
Oh,
Wow, that's way early on him.
I don't like that.
I think Zamir White was a quiet winner in the draft, but not this much.
For sure. He definitely won. Jacobs is out of there, of course. They signed Madison, who's fucking nothing. And Zamir White played really well down the stretch.
Yeah.
I think he's really interesting. One of my videos I'm making probably next week on the channel, make sure you're subscribed, is looking back, I'm making a list of guys I regret not drafting more of in Dynasty last year.
Okay.
Guys that were going really low that I'm like, we should have seen this coming, or at least we should have been more open-minded about it. And then based off like all the commonalities I saw from that list, I'm going to talk about dudes that I'm like, you should probably be drafting at really shitty prices this year. Zamir White is one of them. I don't think he goes this early in most drafts.
Nah.
I think in Keep Trade Cut, he was going like 130 or something like that. But he's someone that you should be open or should have been looking at last year. I'm saying that that regret not drafting more of going into this year.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I drafted Zamir White really late in that 2 years ago class, and I was getting ready to cut bait on so many rosters with him.
Mm-hmm.
And now in best ball, it's different where I did cut bait because you want to have guys scoring. But in lineup, he was in the back half of my bench or in my taxi still if you could have 2 years. And thank goodness I didn't cut all those shares because it was like 2 weeks later he ended up getting the Jacobs injury and the opportunity. I'll tell you, Trey Benson was another one I almost thought about taking.
My queue. Yeah, I should have taken him.
The reason I didn't take him, though, is because at this point I'm like, I don't have a single running back body, and I want a guy that's playing week 1 if I'm drafting this
Crumpler
late.
keeps talking shit that I'm taking rookies, so it makes me want to take one so much more.
There's just not anything here to do.
Yeah.
Tajay.
I'm going to double down on running backs. David Montgomery.
Getting to be value?
Brother, he went for like 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns last year.
Yeah.
And even down the stretch, it wasn't like he got phased out. He was scoring like every single game still.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I will say if you look at the splits, Gibbs was definitely much more of a thing towards the end of the year.
Sure.
But I do think, to your point, I think there's an overreaction of like Gibbs, although Gibbs is going to, let's say, even call it the 1A, the idea with Gibbs is never going to be to have a David Montgomery type not there.
Right.
Like, you want to have that guy with a Jahmyr Gibbs.
David Montgomery has done nothing to prove that he's not good. Like this, I still think people think this is Jamal Williams all over again.
Right.
Jamal was never actually good in Detroit. He scored a lot of touchdowns. He just didn't actually, like, he was averaging shit yards per carry. Like, he wasn't an efficient runner. David Montgomery's been an efficient runner his entire fucking career.
Correct.
And was really good last year. And I would be surprised if he doesn't score another 10 touchdowns this year.
I mean, the other things too, I think this offense, it looked so damn good last year. And to that point, you do see Gibbs on the goal line plenty, but
sure,
Montgomery is going to get probably, I would guess, like 10 zone touches, 20 plus. Like, he's going to have a lot of scoring opportunities.
They both are. That offense is just really good.
The difference is Gibbs, obviously, I feel like has a much significantly higher upside in the passing game, but David Montgomery in the 10th round is certainly a value.
Yeah, I just think he's going to give you a floor for a few years still, until we see him slowing down, like, efficiency-wise, or him really getting up there in age. I'm really not too worried about him.
The other thing is, too, I bet you just the way the landscape is, he'll end up having a contract somewhere else next year.
Yeah.
Where who knows where he ends up, and it could be a decent situation.
I think his contract for the Lions was 3 years.
Yeah, so he's going to be there for sure this year. My guess is they could. I think what I saw is there's no guarantees next year, so they could move on from him. But
they could, but like
they might keep him. Yeah, I'm not saying they're guaranteed to.
I feel like if a player just plays well, like, there's no reason to just cut him to save money.
His contract isn't big enough to be like, we have to get rid of you.
Yeah. I mean, they might get to that point, though, and be like, Gibbs is good enough, but I don't know.
The tight end position, I was hoping that I could get one of those Ingram Kittle to me. That didn't happen. So now, you know what?
Damn, look at that run of receivers right there.
Yeah. I kind of think I still kind of think Aaron Jones is going to end up being pretty good in that offense. I'm a little interested to see how it looks with McCarthy.
Gone back and forth on it. Gone back and forth. I was really high on him as soon as he got moved to Minnesota.
What's your hesitation then?
Andrew was like really hesitant about it.
That makes me feel good.
That's fair.
I love you, Andrew.
I don't know. Like, hearing a Vikings fan, you know, like the fans of the teams while they're always like biased towards players,
or a little inside scoop,
they're biased towards their team when you're talking about external teams, but when you're talking about their team, they're not biased towards or against any players, right? They're more insightful because they're watching every play, every down, every snap kind of thing.
That's fair.
And that I feel like you get a pretty good insight on players. I don't even remember what his argument was, but he feels like Aaron Jones won't handle like the bulk of carries or it was something, and I was like, it kind of opened my eyes. And good pick with Jaylen Warren. He was on my queue.
Yeah, I mean, I actually was kind of surprised. I was thinking Verzi would take him. I was between Warren and Jones. I'm like, all right, let me get both here. I don't know if I'll take a tight end next or just pretend that we know I'll take one later. I'm kind of curious for what your thoughts are on some of these teams as we're getting here. Oh, running backs are coming off hot and heavy now.
Damn.
Nick Chubb, Brian Robinson, Blake Corum.
I have Blake. I got one QB or I got one running back in the queue right now. I hope he falls to me.
My guess is this ain't gonna happen. It's a lot of picks left. We'll see.
There's one. Let's go.
Ooh, and Roman Wilson.
Love that for me.
Derek Carr. Also, 1776, John Smith got 3 quarterbacks after drafting those 3 running backs early.
Yeah, it's not bad. Let's go. You took Zach Moss. I'm going to take Chase Brown.
Interesting.
Dude, Chase Brown was like kind of electric down the stretch last year, the passing work, and now he's going to get way more work with Joe Mixon out the way.
I do think like that they brought in Zach Moss. I think, again, that's actually a good thing for Chase Brown. You're not going to have Chase Brown doing a lot of the plotting in between the tackles. Chase Brown could get some really efficient touches in an offense with Burrow back healthy. Yeah. I think at this point, certainly worth the upside. I was actually pretty skeptical of Chase Brown, but I think the way that the things have played out for him is you couldn't ask for a better situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think like you mean skeptical like when he was coming out as a prospect last year?
No, I mean like the Chase Brown price was starting to go up before they got rid of Mixon, and I felt like they were going to do something at the running back position that was going to be more catastrophic to him. They didn't, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think he got the best, like, you could argue that was about the best thing that could have happened this free agency for him.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like Chase Brown is a dude that, like, he checks most of the boxes, but you really only need him to do a few things in that Bengals offense to be effective. They're going to be a team that scores a lot, that's by the goal line often, that will use their pass catchers as checkdowns and dump downs. And he was a dude that was ripping off, like, big plays left and right there, too. So I like at the end, if I don't take running backs, to shoot on dudes like I wish if Trey Benson wasn't there, and I went Tajay Spears, Trey Benson, Chase Brown. Like, those are all really young, high upside running backs, in my opinion, that you shoot for. Like, worst case scenario, they give you 9 to 10 PPR fantasy points per game. Best case scenario, Spears or Chase Brown take over their backfields.
Sure.
And you're, like, looking at really high upside dudes, like 15, 16 points per game.
Facts.
And I feel really good about that.
That's true. I just cannot take any of these tight ends.
That motherfucker just take A.T. Perry? I can't really see.
It's what it looks like. I kind of hope so.
It's what it looks like because that's what it was.
There's always questionable decisions made. I'd love to see this. Dude, you know A.T. Perry be like that.
A.T. Perry be like what?
Dead. He's been cut. Like, I don't understand. This is the 12th round.
Yeah, you couldn't pay me to take him in like the 17th round.
Oh, interesting. Another rookie. When I finish this pick, we got to talk about this because one of the main reasons I wanted to do this, Nick, was I want to see how many rookies we get off in the first 12 rounds here.
Okay.
Versus last time.
You're gonna count them up manually?
I mean, I'm gonna have to. Let me get an upside play. Get Kendra here. Kendra, he's kind of forgotten about. I'm definitely not nearly as high as I was coming out last year, but I think Kamara's still very good, actually.
Do you?
I do.
I don't know where I sit with. I'm trying desperately to get him off one of my dynasty teams.
I mean, I can understand it. I think probably you're gonna end up, unless you find someone that believes in Kamara, end up being stuck with him because his value seems just shot.
So like,
he went in the 9.6 here, by the way. He's like Najee Harris.
Right. I don't think that's that crazy. Like, Alvin Kamara to me feels like he would have been borderline useless if Derek Carr became a cone, which caused Kamara to have 85 dump offs.
Well, I think that's actually the value. Well, I guess let me. What I mean by is still very good. I think he's still very fantasy usable. When Derek Carr is there, I don't see anything changing with that. Kamara he's always been a guy that is so friendly as a receiving back. I think unless you have a guy that's run first or does not check the ball down. Like Jameis Winston, I don't know if you remember the splits back when Jameis got in there. That was awful for him.
They were bad.
Jameis wants to chuck it.
That's my concern is like Kamara's going to be on the last year of his contract. If he's anywhere besides with a check down QB, is he still the springy Alvin Kamara? No, and that's not really a guy I want.
Fair. I just mean though, like at this point in the 9th round, to me, Derrick Henry I took already. I think Derrick Henry has league winning upside. Outside of that, I think Benson might if he gets the job later on.
Yeah.
But a lot of these guys are, I'd say, kind of cemented where they are. There's not like
Sure.
You're not going to see these guys take seismic rises. And to that point, if you're telling me just production bet for one season, I think Kamara could end up as good as anyone that he's being drafted around. Now, to your point, the shelf life is minimal, and he does need a quarterback to check back.
I'm definitely a little weary about him, especially for Dynasty. I just don't feel like there's a ton of good value. Like, is there any, holistically looking at the board now, are there any running backs or running back values that you're like,
I love?
Fuck yeah, that was a good pick?
I mean, I feel like Derrick Henry in the 9th round, I do actually really like. If you were trying to go win one, that one actually felt really good.
Henry in the 9th.
I'm trying to see.
H-An at 4-9, I feel like is really good. Dude, I was looking back at his game logs last year. So he appeared in 11 games. 2 of them, he played like 10% of snaps because he got hurt in.
Right,
so you got a 9-game sample size. In the 9 games, he scored over 25 PPR points 5 times.
Right.
5 out of 9 games.
Right.
Like, if he's going to stay healthy, they're going to use him the same way that he was used last year because they know what they have. He's going to give you a Jamal Charles, like 2010, 2013 type year. You're going to look back and be like, fuck, at the 4-9?
No, I mean, the thing about Devon Achane is definitely that. Even if you said, all right, you had to take all the good and the bad, if you just played him every week, the weeks that he went off, you would have a hard time losing.
Yeah.
He was that good.
His points per game over the course of the year, he was like the RB2 or 3.
Right.
And you're talking about like league-winning type PPR numbers.
To the point that you're making here, part of the problem to holistically look at this and say running back values is the running backs went earlier than I've ever seen in a mock, in any type of a draft in the last like year. For sure. So to that point, Achane at the 4-9, given the fact that we had running backs in the first round, 3 in the second, another 2 in the third were Saquon, I think that's a good value relative to the board. And then I think later on are maybe some values. To me, not a whole lot.
Yeah.
I would say that Henry maybe in the 9th. I'll tell you one guy that I think was a quiet winner in the draft that I was trying to get at my 8th round pick. He went at the 8-6, DeAndre Swift. That room did not, like, everyone kept waiting on Roschon last year, and Roschon didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Khalil Herbert has just not been consistent.
There's a lot of rumors that Khalil might be moved, too. Khalil gets moved, I would feel a lot better about Swift.
But the thing is, DeAndre Swift is a guy, you talk about what, like, Achane. When Swift has been given work and has been playing, he's been really good. And if we think this offense is going to be good, he can catch the ball in the backfield, and there's a ton of passing weapons there.
No, that's fair.
I think at the 8-6, I'm not going to say it's a great value, but
he's relatively young, too.
I'm willing to take a shot
25 right now. Like,
he just got a new contract?
Yeah, he's not like Kamara, was 28 or whatever. Yeah, so I like I think my favorite picks were probably running back-wise, Achane 4-9. I like your Derrick Henry at 9-2 for sure. Really like Trey Benson at 9-11. And then I also was hyped about Chase Brown at 11-12 there.
I think, almost 12th round. I can get behind that.
Yeah.
I think I'm looking at these teams now, trying to see if there's
looking at the teams. I think Gronkowski
killed it.
Yeah, he probably has my. I haven't looked at all the teams, I guess, but I think he has my favorite team.
I'll tell you one. I gave him shit, or gave him or her shit on that 5th round Kenneth Walker, and I don't like it.
Say him or her, like we're about to have a female in here.
I mean,
actually Anna was in here.
I was just gonna say, yeah.
Right.
But
right, Dan.
Outside of that pick, though, like I actually really loved the rest of his picks.
I think Codeine did well too.
Trying to see who else. I'm kind of curious to see how D Smooths ended up. So Goff in the 5th and Knicks in the 6th. I feel like the QBs are just so mid.
Yeah.
But you could get by with that if the skill players hit.
I think what makes me nervous about his team is the entire bottom half of the draft is a really low floor.
Yeah.
Like Ricky P, Zamir, C. Watt, Marshawn Lloyd, even Geno to an extent. I kind of feel like a lot of those guys could have really low floors this year.
So Pearsall and Marshawn Lloyd may not really even have roles early on.
Yeah.
Watson's probably going to be inconsistent. Zamir White is okay, but probably doesn't have a high ceiling. Geno Smith, I mean this is a new regime with Geno and Sam Howell. I think it's not been talked about a lot, but there's quiet rumors that like they're going to let those two battle it out.
Yeah, I think Geno probably gets it done, but like he was so bad as a fantasy QB last year. Maybe he'll be better again, but like he's the only one I feel semi-secure with on that bottom half. Like Zamir White, I think he's safe for the first 8 weeks. But a lot of times with fantasy running backs that aren't like secure in their job, it's the second half of the year. Guys like fall off, and then you don't know who's going to be like the real players in those backfields. So that makes me a little bit nervous.
Let's look at your team here. So you got, I kind of like it actually. You got Harrison, Olave, Dell. So in this, we're starting, let's say 3 receivers here.
I don't love it.
How do you feel about your receiving room right now?
Not good. I kind of wish I went Brian Thomas instead of Tank Dell.
Okay.
I don't even know what's going on with Tank Dell's recovery. Is he going to be all good to go by like training camp?
There's not been a ton of reports, but everything I've heard it seems positive. But
okay.
It's not. It seems like it's incomplete still.
Yeah, it's also going to be really hard for Tank Dell to take a huge step up statistically from last year. Like, I know his rookie year was awesome, but, like, I don't know, what do you have, 750 yards? Obviously, he got hurt and missed some time, but, like, adding Stephon Diggs, 140 target guy, into that offense, it's like, is there room for Tank Dell to go from 750 to 1,200 yards? Probably not. And if you're going to go up to, like, 900, you're fine, but you're not big time.
The interesting part about it, the Diggs signing first happened, I did some actually digging on C.J. Stroud and some of the numbers for the receivers. They had 3 receivers inside the top 25 with, like, yards per catch. And this offense is really pushing the ball downfield.
Yeah.
I would say typically I'm not going to expect any offense to really support 3 fantasy options at receiving. But I would say there's an outside chance that it could. In the event that doesn't happen, I think it probably ends up being one of the 3 gets bumped. And I don't think it's going to be Nico, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, and that's why I'm looking at Brian Thomas, where I'm like, I actually think Brian Thomas could match Tank Dell's numbers statistically this season right away out the gate, with upside to become the one the following year, or not even like over the second half of this year, tied to T Law. And I'm like, that's probably a bet I probably should have taken there. Overall, I ended up just starting to go, like, once I took Drake May instead of Prescott, that should have been Dak. But once I did that, my team just got really young. So it feels like I'm probably not going to be able to compete this year, but I still feel good about next year's team.
Yeah.
Where May will come into his own, Marv, Brock Bowers, Keon Coleman, like, we're 1 year closer to Penix. So feel better about the team, obviously, next year. Can't say it was a team that I love walking away from the draft with right now.
Yeah, I think your team, though, is will be competitive enough to maybe see in season. Like, I think it's one of those teams where you'll have a feel midway through if you're going to make the playoffs or not, and if you want to just play for 25, or if you want to make a moves to go push in for this season. Like, you're flexible, I think, is the way I'll say it.
I like J.C. Pratt there. What I think he did was, like, he towed the line of getting dudes who are veterans and will produce at a really high level right away, but it wasn't until, like, the very end of the draft where he started to go with guys who I feel like are, like, a little too old. Like, everyone from Lamar down to Pacheco are, like, 26-ish or younger. Like, Andrews maybe getting up there, like, 27-ish.
Yeah.
But he wasn't like taking dudes in the 5th, 6th round that were like 29, 30 that you're like, all right, they're kind of like over the age apex.
Right.
But he probably has this team intact for 2, if not 3 more years with really high level production.
Yeah, he actually, to your point, like Ayuk, Nico, and Amon-Ra, I would say they're probably all kind of in that, when you get to their range, Amon-Ra St. Brown's probably out of that equation, but Ayuk and Nico especially, like, you get to that, you kind of plateau typically in value because you're not young enough to be given the benefit of the doubt, but the production is going to be good for these guys, I think, even if Ayuk gets dealt.
Right. Like, they're giving you huge production, but you didn't have to get it. Like, Tyreek Hill is older than these guys. And you have, like, you had DJ Moore, who's probably going to give you similar production to those guys, but DJ Moore is a little older as well. So I feel like he hit a really good sweet spot there of dudes who are older, but not too old.
I think that's a good point, actually. And the way I play or I draft, like, if I get Andrews there at 5'10", it's not that I don't like Njoku, but I'm just not taking another tight end in the top 10. If I was going to give a criticism, that would be what it would be. Yeah,
I would have done something like kind of what I did. Like, if I, like, Andrews, instead of taking Njoku at 10-3, take, like, Ferguson at the 12-3 or something like that. Down there.
I'm not even saying you can't go get another tight end if you're worried about Andrews' injury or whatever. To me, there's a lot of guys later, on that string of receivers. You could have taken Deontay. You could have taken Christian Kirk. I personally wouldn't have taken a tight end that high. I guess it to each their own. I'll tell you one thing I really like, though, is that DeAndre Hopkins at 11-10.
I think he's kind of being slept on this year a little bit.
1,000%. I did 5 guys that are being disrespected. He was on it.
He went over Thawi last year.
Okay. Now, with the change in philosophy that they're going to have, Vrabel, I feel like the Titans stink ever since A.J. Brown went there. They've been such a low passing offense.
We're going to see a completely different type of team.
This is going to be polar opposites. You have a team that's going to have, like, the OC came from Zach Taylor and the Cincinnati Bengals. They're going to probably pass the ball inside the top 10. Levis is going to be chucking the ball. He's a risk taker as it is. Yeah. You have Ridley and Nuke on the other side. At that cost in the 11th, almost 12th round, there's nothing but upside. Like, last year, people don't even realize, even on that low passing volume, he's wide receiver 22.
Yeah.
He's someone that I really like at that cost, honestly.
Yeah, let's move over to your team. You started off, you didn't touch a tight end.
Nope.
You didn't touch a running back till the 9th round.
Nope.
You went 6 receivers, 2 quarterbacks to start off.
Yep.
Did you know you were going to do this going in?
I mean, I knew I was taking Allen or Mahomes, and that was about all I knew.
Okay.
Because I just try to be fluid in the startups. I didn't plan on taking Neighbors at 211. It was between him and A.J. Brown, and I've been on record saying I want Neighbors ahead of Brown. I feel like right now that's a little more debatable with the landing spot.
Let me ask you, looking back now, seeing the board, is there any moves you would have made differently? Or even to the point where it's like, if this guy fell one more spot, I would have taken him instead or anything like that?
I mean, okay, I would say this. Like DJ Moore and Metcalf, I didn't really know what I was going to do there. But looking at it, the reason I ended up taking them, I feel good about it. The guys after them, I prefer Moore and Metcalf still. Those are ones I wasn't as sure about at the time. Jaden Reed, I think, might be the one that I would pivot away from. To me, I could have taken one of Jaden Reed and Xavier Worthy and still gotten Penix. But I didn't need to do that. Like, I'll say if I get 2 quarterbacks this high, to me, getting an insurance policy on that is kind of like I'm overpaying for insurance. Like I'm going to end up having to stream. I'm not going to be as productive as those 2 quarterbacks. I'm fine doing what I did here. I'll say the fact that the running backs went up as high as they did, like this feels what like a lot of people are trying to do at the moment. This feels like the cool approach. You get your quarterbacks and you just draft a bunch of receivers. I didn't plan to actually do it this far. I didn't plan to not take a running back till the 9th, but every time I looked in my queue, the running backs just were not worth reaching on. So
I agree. Once you're in that like 7th, 8th, 9th round, it doesn't feel like you want any of the fucking guys there.
No, like the only one so again, I was really hoping Swift fell back to me, but I wasn't taking him at the 7-2.
Yeah.
So when you draft on the corners like that, you're going to have, there's such a drastic fall in the player value by the time you come back.
Yeah, because like when you draft on the corners, myself included there, it's like you're reaching for a guy, and because we're already like I don't really want running backs.
Right.
It's like I'm not gonna reach for a running back and then having to reach even more because I'm on the corner, which I think is what contributed to both of us having running backs fall all the way. I mean, you took your first at 9-2. I took mine at fucking 9-12. So it's like when you're on the corners, I think you're even more enticed to whatever your pre-draft bias is. You're probably more enticed to even push those biases further. So that's maybe something to be a little bit cognizant of.
Yeah, and I think like my approach here, in my opinion, I think Malik Neighbors is going to have a very, very high floor for a rookie. So you put him, DJ Moore, and Metcalf. I think all those guys have very high floors, and they're going to start weekly for me. Reed, Worthy, and Leggett are all, I think, upside plays that we don't know about. But I have 3 receivers already there, so I can wait on those guys. I don't have to start them weekly.
Those are 3 fun receivers that like you'll know what you have by the end of this year.
For sure.
Like their values are like, especially the 2 Xaviers, rookies, those are like either going to be really good picks or really bad picks. You know, like those guys are going to drop because they're polarizing prospects. So they're either going to be like 11th round startups next year or 3rd, 4th, 5th round startups next year.
Double tapping Xaviers, they like that.
Yeah, a little spicy there.
I mean, what do you think of Xavier Leggett at 8'11"?
Yeah, I think like the cool thing to do right now is to fade him. I think people don't really like him.
No, for sure. He's sketchy. His profile is sketchy.
His profile is sketchy. There's a lot of sketch going on there. I liked the film when I watched him.
Yeah.
But I also think like landing in Carolina. The one thing I will say, it's a little tough to get a read on. Like Thielen was such a target magnet last year. They bring in Deontay Johnson, who's been nothing but a target magnet. So it's like, does Leggett work his way into the 3rd most targeted player in that offense? Do they try to get Mingo going and use Leggett as like a supplementary number 3? It's hard to get a read if he's really going to get more than like 70 targets year 1. That's the thing is like I still kind of feel like Thielen and Deontay are probably the 1 and 2 there. So Leggett, I don't know what we can expect out of him ceiling wise.
Yeah, I'll say like Thielen to me, I feel like by the middle to late part of the year, I don't expect to be a threat.
Sure. I mean, he already fell off, by the second part of last year.
But I do think Deontay is going to end up – he is just proven to be, no matter what the quarterback play was in Pittsburgh, just a guy that gets open and a quarterback's friend. So I think he's going to be the leading target guy.
It kind of feels a little bit like, I mean, a bad version of like Seattle last year. Like he's the JSN going in. It's like you have 2 proven veterans, obviously not as good as Lockett and Metcalf, but like we want to just say like, oh, the young, explosive, fun, upside receiver is going to break the lineup soon. But it's different because Lockett and Metcalf have been there for so long and have produced at a high level for so long. But that's my one worry with Leggett is like, do we get a value bump in him this year?
I mean, that is definitely a fair question. To me, it was between him and Adonai Mitchell, actually, who didn't end up going off the board till 9-10. They're in a tier for me.
I took Adonai. I had the 206 in a rookie draft, and I took Adonai over Leggett.
Yeah. I think for someone that plays in I play in like, I don't know, 18, 20 leagues now. I'm probably going to take, in the rest of my drafts, I'll try to get exposure to both because I think there's opportunity for both to succeed, but I definitely am. I don't love it for either one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I like my team. I think I was able to draft the way I'm comfortable, if I'm being honest. Like, just take all the receivers and then get running backs later.
Yeah. The worst team on the board, I would still say, is John Smith.
Okay.
He got lucky grabbing 3 starting quarterbacks, but like look at his receivers.
This is like going in the time machine.
Like, he's gonna have to start 2 of Jameson Williams, Roman Wilson, Gabe Davis in a PPR league. Like, you're gonna get like 15 points a week.
That draft feels like he went into a time machine. Like 1776 is honestly accurate. Like, we went back in time. Back in the day, if you were a running back heavy approach guy, you're like, all right, I will fill the wide receiver spots the best I can with whatever I have, but I'm going to just try to juice the flex spots and running back spots with running backs.
Yeah, I mean,
that just doesn't feel viable anymore.
It's like Pokemon just did what he tried to do, but a little bit better.
But see, Pokemon though, okay, McCaffrey at 1.9 is the reason I think it's questionable, because I think you could have got him at 2.4.
Yeah.
But then you're not going to be able to get McCaffrey and Brees either way. If you're trying to do what he did, one of them was going to be a massive reach, right? Those are the next 2 running backs if you don't take Gibbs. So,
well, his
you get
team
Tyreek Hill. So you get locked up running back heavy scoring plus a guy that could be wide receiver 1 again at scoring, and then you backfill with 2 quarterbacks that let's keep it real. Baker Mayfield was a top 12 option a lot of quarterbacks last year. A lot of scoring last year. Brock Purdy, top 12 to 15 quarterback option. So if you're going to – Pokemon executed the strategy, to your point, 1776 John Smith. I love you, buddy, but this will be your last draft with us, unfortunately, and not a good one.
Yeah, Pokemon's a tough draft to figure out, too, because he took like 3 of the oldest relevant fantasy players right now, C-Mac, Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans. And then he took a kind of a mixture of some rookies as well, and Ladd McConkey, Troy Franklin. He took
I just realized,
an interesting
sneaky. If you're not going to take quarterbacks early, that's a huge dub to get that stack at 7.9 and 8.4.
Yeah, he went. He didn't go full stack, but I was looking at John Smith, who went Kirk and Kyle Pitts.
Got it.
I feel like Kirk and Kyle Pitts is going to be the most overrated stack in fantasy.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm getting bad feelings.
So you're feeling bad about Pitts and great about London type beat?
I'm not feeling good about anything.
I love that.
That
is a great answer.
Atlanta opened up as 11 win odds on DraftKings. I'm like, my brother in Christ.
Do you think,
Michael
your
Penix
personal opinion, do you think they're the favorite to win the division?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
You think Kirk immediately makes them better than Tampa last year?
I think we were almost better than Tampa last year with fucking Ritter. I don't believe we were, but I think Kirk puts us in that position to be the better team right away. Yeah.
I will say the thing, Arthur Smith, I'm so glad he's gone. I'm kind of worried about Pittsburgh a little bit, but we'll see. But the one thing about the way he played, as unfun as it was to watch, Arthur Smith, the way that he ran the game, is they were unlikely to ever be out of a game, though. As unfun as it was, they were going to be in the game all the way last year. The whole style is going to be different.
I'll be honest. I would have liked to have seen a year with Arthur Smith with a good quarterback. I actually think the narrative would be very different on him.
So you think if Kirk was with Arthur Smith this year, there's a totally different situation?
I would have liked to have seen it, yeah. I think he was not ready to be a head coach.
Can I tell you, but you know what? He got in his own way. If he didn't, the splits with Bijan, if he didn't have egregious splits with Bijan and Tyler Algier, I think he might keep the job.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah, that I agree with. He also is not giving Kyle Pitts the ball often and all that kind of shit. There are a lot of bad parts to it. I think if he's just stuck with being the OC and that's the only thing he's focusing on, I think he's pretty good.
That's fair. We need to tally up rookies. I keep forgetting about this. Marshawn Lloyd, 212. We almost got into the 3rd round, Nick, in the first 12 rounds of startups.
That's crazy.
We had this conversation. We had no idea the landing spots and how the quarterbacks were going to go as high as they did.
All right, put it this way now.
That's never happened even close to in a startup that high.
Think about this now. Let's say how many? What'd you say? It got to what, the 2?
Marshawn Lloyd is the 212. So the next pick is the 301.
Oh, okay, it was going that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so now ask yourself this: if you're in a rookie draft right now and you're up at the pick 2.9, 2.10, I feel like you're easily, and it's tight end premium, super flex, whatever. I feel like there are guys on the board. I'm easily taking Jake Ferguson there. I think I'm probably easily taking Daniel Jones there. There are some guys down there that I feel like I'm taking in a rookie draft for sure.
Meaning, you'll take a rookie ahead of these guys?
No. Those guys ahead of the rookies.
Well, okay, interesting. Yeah, that's what I agree. I was curious. The reason I wanted to do this, 2 things. We have not had our Fade the Fetal draft. My video this week, I was going to try to talk about my update on my team in Fade the Fetal and the draft, how that went. If we don't end up having it, I'm going to have to pivot, and that my backup plan is going to be where I think right now on the clock with this rookie euphoria, probably as crazy as I've ever seen it, like I think right now could be the best time and the only time that you can ever trade rookie picks for guys that don't feel the greatest, like they're not sexy, but that could be this could be the best time to pivot off of rookie picks, honestly.
So you're saying like
I basically
trade the 210 or 211 for Brian Robinson. Trade the
yeah, I don't know if you can actually make these happen in a rookie draft for the player that you're trying to pluck, but if these values are accurate, I would be trying a lot of those type of trades. For example, we're talking about the 212 Marshawn Lloyd. Let's just move up to where was the next? Blake Corum's the 209. Right there, instead of taking Blake Corum, would someone give me Geno if I needed a quarterback 3? Would somebody let me get Danny Dimes?
Dude, I did that trade in Fade the Fetal in that league like a few weeks ago. Remember, I traded the 210 for Geno.
Oh, you did. You're right.
I literally made that exact trade.
Now that one, it felt crazy at the time because we didn't expect the 210 to be this spiced up, but now it is. For example, 209. I would 100 times out of 100, if I'm a contender, trade that 209 that is going to be potentially Blake Corum or Jalen Wright for DeAndre Hopkins right now.
Yeah.
And if someone has enough wide receivers, like that team, for example, right? They have 4 other receivers on their roster. They may feel DeAndre Hopkins is expendable. That's probably a trade you can't always make. Most time you can't trade the 209 for a guy that you can plug into your lineup weekly, even if he's got 1 year left of shelf life.
Yeah, and I even think like Coding takes Trey Benson at the 9-11. James Conner falls 2 more rounds. If you want to secure that backfield and trade the 211 for James Conner, I don't think that's like a crazy thing to do either. No. He plays 1 more year out in Arizona, and that automatically gives you that connection there for, like, if James Conner gets hurt this year, then you know that Trey Benson is going to be the guy. If he doesn't, then James Conner's a guy for the – but the point is, like, the rookies are going so high that if you actually equated them to the rookie picks and equated them to the players, like, can you pull that trade off?
100%.
Sometimes I think it will work, and I agree. Like, when I got the Geno trade, I was fucking over the moon because I already had Sam Howell in that league, so I'm like, cool, I get whoever it is, and I needed a QB3 or QB2 or whatever really badly. So that was a smash trade for me, but those are the things you probably should be looking at.
And the other thing I think you can do this year because like 212's Marshawn Lloyd, we're going to see the 301, the next rookie, come off the board probably in the 13th round at some point. So if I'm a team that in a like lineup start 10 league like this, I'm a contender. I have some picks. What I would love to do, and I've made a bunch of trades like this. I made one in the fetal where you could throw that now 209 and maybe attach a third or two to it. All of a sudden, now you're getting to a player even north because people are actually wanting to buy third-round picks. You might be able to get into like a Calvin Ridley, a Chris Godwin. By the way, Chris Godwin right now, one of the guys in this range I'm really interested in, given that imagine not playing him in the slot when all he's ever done in his career has been a slot receiver. I don't know if you saw the splits there.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm buying it.
As far as the snap percentages, like he's going to actually not.
Yeah, I mean, like I feel like that's just going to be the talking point all summer. It's like Chris Godwin moving back in the slot. It's like, who the fuck are they playing outside?
Well, so I'll tell you what happened though, and I don't know if they're planning to change this. Baker Mayfield at the quarterback position, I don't know if they wanted to protect him or what. They ran more 12 personnel than they ever ran last year. So that's the question: is do they pull off of that? Yeah. And go back to more 11 personnel. Because if they start running more 11, even by a little bit, all of a sudden he gets back in the slot 50% of the time. He's been like a top 20 points per game receiver when he's in the slot. Last year was very meh though.
Yeah, I mean he went over 1,000 last year. I just like,
but it was super unmeaningful in fantasy.
No, that's fair. I just don't know where he really goes from here. Do you think he can go back to putting up like 7 for 80 and a touchdown?
I think that's the thing. If you look at his stats and you check the boxes of last year, which I think is one of his worst finishes, the big thing, he only had 2 or 3 touchdowns. So if you sprinkled in touchdowns are kind of random. If you sprinkled in 3 more touchdowns, all of a sudden I bet you he's a top 24 receiver.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that he's a guy in the range that I'd be willing to buy him. I'm not going to take him ahead of Evans like this. I think he went a little earlier than I've seen him go most times. Yeah. But he's a sneaky one that I would be targeting in a trade, if I was trying to trade a second round and then a third round or something like that.
No, I feel you. That makes sense. All right. Well, that is 12 rounds of an updated Dynasty Startup Draft. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today. If you guys want to be in the next draft, jump in the Discord. Free, of course. Link down below. And in there, you could join Dynasty Startups that we are organizing for y'all. All right? We're out of here. Make sure you subscribe because Adam's video comes out tomorrow. Maybe it's him recapping the rookie draft. Maybe it's him going the other direction.
We'll see.
We don't know.
We'll see what we do with Fade the Fetal.
We'll see what we do with it.
Love you.
Love you. Hank.